Yeah, there we
All right.
go.
That worked. All right. Little technical difficulties at the top, but sweet. All right. Another edition of I Will Never Run Again. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and then just I got a couple questions for you, and we can get into this. But yeah, who are you? What brings you here today?
Yeah. Well, hello. Andy Zielinski. From Portland, Oregon originally. Relocated up to North Idaho, where there's a lot of mountains and a lot of trails to explore. Um, Ironically, I think what brings me here today is you and I somehow like got to be buddies on IG, and I got stoked on a lot of stuff you were putting out, and then realized like there's more to it, and then I saw just like what you're doing with legs, and yeah, like just super inspired by I think someone in the running community who's putting energy back into the community through all that you are doing. So I don't know, just like stoked to have a conversation and kind of share my story. The whole idea of I will never run again kind of was an ironic headline to me, which I'm sure we will talk about here in a second. But
This would be a
yeah,
good stuff.
I like to run. I'm not your front of pack guy. You'll never see me on a podium, but you'll see me in a race, and you'll probably not find someone who's more passionate about the sport other than a few. I just love the sport and all that it does to the world and individual stories and everything in between.
Nice. We'll have to get you on a conversational pace too, because we talk about like the sort of like intersection of a body in motion and the happiness that physical activity can manifest. Essentially, I didn't mean to use the word manifest, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit more. All right, so we're talking about injuries today. Not a great topic, but yes, you hit the nail on the head with the ironic title of this segment. So what are your typical miles in a week when you were at your peak, when you were healthy, not down and out? How many miles were you running a week?
Yeah, so like I'm probably to anyone who follows and is like an avid runner, this is like low miles, but my average would be like 40 to 45 miles a week. And it's traditionally a mix of road trail. Pretty much Wednesdays are like the 10 mile like quote unquote workout run. And then Saturdays would be the long run, depending on what it is. And that range obviously varies if I'm training for something, which I was. But Saturdays would be like the long run, which would just be very dedicated in the trails, kind of specific to whatever it was I was training for. And then just like slow, steady, zone two, basic shit, like throughout the rest of the week,
Yeah.
and increasing volume was actually a goal this year. So that had to take a backseat to other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that muffled tone method. Is that the zone two method? Something like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I knew a buddy who did that for like a year and like, I don't know. Science, man. Apparently it made him a better runner. So, all right. Cool. Thank you for the on the top intro there. All right. So nitty gritty stuff. What what's your injury? What happened?
Yeah. Well, backstory. I ran Chucking It last year. 50K up in Bellingham, Washington, kind of a legendary race. And it's an incredible race. It's super fun. It's highly competitive for anyone who like just wants a competitive 50K fast. Which again, to be clear, I'm not that guy, but it was a fun community to be a part of. And I do like I don't know if you'll ever see this, but Adam Mary, like I'm a big Adam Mary fan, and he won last year, and it was just fun like watching that showdown between him and Seth. But I PR'd that 50K personal PR last year, but I knew I left chips on the table because I went into that with just kind of a goofy injury last year where I just kind of jacked my knee, slipped on some snow because I am up in North Idaho in the winter it gets fucking gnarly. This year, I had a goal of hitting what I thought I could hit last year and then shaving time off. And so was building up some volume. And there's this local mountain like 2 minutes away from my house that I just go up and get lost in. And one Saturday, about 3 weeks ago, just did a tower tag, which is just about 2,200 feet, so just kind of easy jog up, come down. We were in between weather. So we've had a pretty weak weather kind of system this past winter, which means like limited snowfall, but like it's been inconsistent in terms of like the pack. So generally, if I'm out on the trails, like I know that the pack is just going to be like either post holing or like I kind of know what to expect. But to
Yeah.
like on this day, there's been a ton of melt off. Up at the top, there was a decent amount of snow that I had to trudge through, but basically from the gate up to the towers, it was a mix of like chunky ice that was still grippy, and then dirt, a lot, and then some melt off and run off, and then that kind of loose snow that I was talking about. Anyway, I was coming down from the towers. And I was about 9 miles in, and I hadn't seen a single person all day. It's generally pretty quiet up there, so hadn't seen anyone up there all day. But I'm coming down, and about 200 feet like below me on the trail, I see the trail kind of meanders down.
Yep.
I see this gal and her dog kind of pickpocketing their way through the trail. So I'm coming around, trying to plot my line to make sure I don't spook them, but continue on. The dog scoots over. I give the friendly wave to the lady, and about 10 feet in front of them, my right foot catches a piece of ice, like not no joke, like that big. And my right foot just went one way, and my
Oh,
entire body just with the momentum kept going. And not to be too gruesome, but I heard the break before I fell to the ground.
yeah.
And well, the long story of the short story is I had a full-on spiral fracture, full break of the tibia. And because of the way that the bone broke, I had a break in my ankle as well, which I didn't know at the time, but
Yeah.
I had thought so. I'm sure like anyone who's like familiar with sports in general, like you've seen the gruesome like football leg injuries where you're like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
my God, like the way it felt is what I assumed was that I was gonna like basically turn over and see.
Right. Right.
So this lady was like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything fine? And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's broken. It's broken. It's broken. Like because I knew I heard it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I couldn't look at my leg because I was
Yeah.
too scared. And this is the injury that was my worst nightmare. There's not a single injury that I would have ever imagined being worse than like a lower leg injury.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't want to see it. I didn't like, but she comes up, she's like, calm down, breathe. I'm an orthopedic nurse. Now, keep in mind, this is the only person I've seen on the trail.
Yeah.
She is an orthopedic nurse, and so she's like, hey, I deal with this stuff all the time. She had like some recovery stuff in her backpack, like super well prepared. I wasn't. I'm carrying this like
Yeah.
little hydration pack.
We're runners. We're not supposed to be prepared for that. We just go out.
Right. Yeah. I just asked her, I'm like, how bad is it? And she's like, well, it's not a compound. There's no bones poking through. There's mild disformation. But like your foot's off centered, but like it's not backwards. And so
Right.
like I was like, all right, I can look. Like anyway, get we called 911, had an ambulance come. Keep in mind, I'm like 2 miles up from the gate. So like I had like they had to bring in a ATV on snow tracks, wheel that sucker up,
Yeah.
and then put me on a cart and then take me down the trail.
Oh my God. Geez, like I feel like some of the injury stories I've heard, it's like usually, like, oh, I noticed this injury or this like tick or something for a couple days and I ran through it and then I realized I was out. But this is like an immediate, I fell, I broke, I'm done. Oh
This
man,
is it.
I can't believe the luck of like I mean, quote unquote luck of an orthopedic surgeon on the trail. Only other person you saw. That must have just been fucking insane.
Well, that one was wild. Not
Yeah.
a surgeon, but a nurse.
Or
If it
sorry,
was
I
a
was
surgeon, I
being
would have had him just
just fix
open
me on
me
the
up.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it was pretty wild. The circumstances were pretty wild, and yeah, it was like it was so sudden that it is like it does have that reverberating. Like I go to bed now, like one with that sound. Like
Mhm.
I don't ever want anyone to experience that like that. Like,
Yeah.
but it kind of haunts me. It's like it's that sound of like I had a foot plant that I've had a million times prior
Right.
that never caused me an issue.
Yeah.
This one time, my leg goes, like it legitimately just goes. And then I have that, it's like, it's like, I've thankfully have never had to experience this, but like, it's like my leg cheated on me. Like, I don't even know if I can have like confidence in it or faith in it anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
like I had my
Yeah.
cast taken off. I had surgery, a rod put through the tibia.
This is
And I
all since you fell. You've had all that happen since you fell.
Yeah, so I got taken to the ER, and then had surgery the next morning.
Yeah.
So it was pretty immediate. Like
Yeah. Pretty immediate.
yeah.
Jesus, dude. That sound. Yeah. I'm the asshole over here that's like asking you to relive this. Maybe I should have thought about this a little bit more. Um,
No, that's
but
good.
let's switch a little bit, I guess, into something maybe even equally as depressing. What's some of the feelings like? What came over you when you realized that you might be out for a bit of the sport that you so passionately love, that you take so much from?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first was there were like two primal screams on the trail. First one was fuck,
Of course,
and
yeah.
it was like training for now is over.
Hmm.
And then it was like for now dot 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 dot, and that was like so Chuck and that's done
Okay.
clearly because that's a race in March.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second primal scream was like like it's hard to explain exactly what this means in a short amount of time, but like like it felt like this had to happen in a lot of ways. Like
Mm.
I don't know even how to get into that, but like there were so many little like life stressors that had like started accumulating over the past few years where running was the priority and running was the thing that took me to where I personally wanted to get to,
Yeah.
but it also was somewhat of a mask to dealing with what I really needed to deal with, which
Sure.
like now I don't have that. So like I have to dive deep inside the
Yeah.
soul and be like, all right, what like there's a lot of stuff that I need to like kind of deal with some like rewiring and all of that, and like when you don't have your primary outlet to like process, like
Sure.
you're forced to do that in a different way, almost like a more analog way. Like you would think running is like the most analog, but when
Yeah.
that's available, like you go
Yeah.
even more analog.
Yeah, it's like quitting drinking or something. Then you realize how the world looks through sober eyes, and you're like, ah, shit, I got a lot to deal with here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
little bit like that. Yeah.
exactly. Like there's a cover that's been kind of lifted off.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, dude. So like, yeah, I guess what's like the first thing you did, like physically or maybe emotionally, once you realized that you weren't going to be running?
I grabbed a journal
Nice.
and I started committing to myself that like I'm just gonna like one kind of dive into just my thoughts and putting them out. So like that way,
Mhm.
like there is something that I can like track progress against,
Yeah.
and it's because I like I'm still on Strava every day. Like I'm still giving you kudos every
Yeah.
every day,
Oh,
but
you're
I'm not
giving them
logged.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I saw that. But like I'm not doing that, but like but the journal right now is like sort of like my Strava log of like
Mhm.
here's what's happening today, and here's like kind of like what I'm like processing through. And then like secondarily, like I've been really like into photography, and like one thing that I have not given myself enough allowance in over the past few years for a lot of different reasons is just having that creative outlet like just available to me. So like
Yeah.
really kind of doubling down on just like how else can I express my love for sport and life in general beyond the act of moving, because I can't right now in the same way I used to. So,
Yeah.
documenting through written or through film photography
Yeah.
is sort of kind
Nice.
of like where my focus has gone.
Yeah, no, that's super important. I like just getting your thoughts out of your head and onto paper, regardless of whoever's going to read it or whatever it's going to turn into, is just I don't know. I can't stress the importance of that enough. So I'm digging that you're doing that. I'm maybe it's a little too early for this, but are there any like workouts you're doing as an alternative at this point, or just kind of like feeling things out, just hoping the body moves in general?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I met with my orthopedic surgeon last week, and he was happy with the quote unquote progress over the past 2 weeks.
All right, congrats.
But I am in a situation where like I have to be 100% non-weight bearing to that leg for
Oh
at
well,
least 10 weeks. So
yeah,
like that's like a non-negotiable. So I've been doing a ton of, and a ton, I don't mean like hours, but like I'm trying to like prioritize where I can, just like like almost hit style workouts, like upper body, just to
sure,
like keep that engaged. I will be doing I got cleared to do isometric PT.
nice. All right,
So I'm gonna be going in a week and a half to start kind of free weight bearing PT, just to make sure that like when I get to weight bearing, that I'm not going in with gross like muscle imbalances, because everything is going to be off. Like I'm
sure,
like my whole left side is overcompensating right now for what my right leg can't do. But
yeah.
I expressed to the PT that like I do have goals, and so like we just like let's figure out how to get there sooner than later.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's I'm glad to hear that you've been at least cleared for that and staying off it for the time being. Like I can't imagine I honestly I can't imagine like the frustration that you might be feeling too, especially like what we're saying, like how much enjoyment you get out of this and sorry, I don't mean to drudge up those bad memories actually. So
No, you're good.
isn't it terrible? So like in your opinion, like brutally honest, what just sucks the fucking most about this? What sucks the most about being injured?
Um, I think there's two things.
Okay.
One is like, dude, I haven't left the house more than 3 times in 3 weeks. Like, so it's isolating. The injury is isolating, which leads me to my second thing. And I think this, I don't know. I hope this hits home for like anyone else who's like would watch this, but like
Yeah.
the thing that sucks is like I have to deal with an identity issue. Like because like running consumes so much of like who I am mentally, and then like physically, and like just spaciously what I prioritize. And what sucks is like I don't know, like that it is the unknown. Like, I don't know what comes out of this. Like
Um,
I trust that I can be like a better athlete after this and stronger, but I'm also not a professional. So like I don't
right.
have the same access as someone who might have, who's like on a pro team and just like working with the best doctors. Not to say like I'm not working with great doctors, but like I don't know. So like it's
No,
an
the
it's
24/7 kind of like, yeah, the totally.
yeah, and I'm
I know
not,
what you mean,
and I
man.
don't know what like the resource impact is going to look like 10 weeks from now, or 6 months from now, like.
Yeah,
So I think there's just like the thing that sucks is like having to be honest about the fact that like if my sole identity, and I used to say like if I didn't have my legs, like I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
And now I'm like forced into that answering that question because like I actually never thought I would fucking break my leg. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
just being honest. Like I've had weird knee flare-ups or whatever, and everyone's had it in a
Okay.
nickel here and there, but I've never been to a point where I'm like a substantial enough injury where I'm like, could this be gone? Like I've never had to like question. Like it
Yeah.
never.
Yeah. Man,
And I
that's like
don't
it's like
go
questioning
ahead.
mortality at that point. Like it's like, yeah, wow. Okay. Keep going. Sorry. I'm just that hit me.
No, but that's kind of it though. Like
Yeah.
it is that. It feels that heavy. Like it
Yeah.
because like it is everything. It's something we put everything into. Like I know your passion for running. I like we're weird. Like runners are weird, and they like I'm still my office is filled with Nordas all over the place. I shouldn't say like multiple because people think I'm just ridiculous, but I got a few just around
Honest,
me, and
they're great shoes, man. I love them. Yeah.
they're great shoes. But like I look around, I'm like, yeah, like I have built a whole system around this pursuit, and it
Yeah.
was a pursuit of podium. It was a pursuit of like adventure, figuring out how far I could go, like just having that space, and now that's not there, and I don't know to what capacity it will return.
Yeah. Do you have any
So
idea on like the road to recovery? Like what's the timeline or anything like that at this point?
no, it's
No.
the ortho is pretty diligent in keeping the barrier at like 10-week minimum 10-week non-weight bearing because I think he sees my eagerness because I'm already talking like PT protocol and like
Yeah.
so everything is as quick to recovery or delayed depending on how well my bone heals. And that's just a time thing. So
Yeah.
he doesn't think that there's going to be any reason why I couldn't pursue ultras again.
Good. Good.
And the piece I should say that like is the biggest concern is I do have a pin. I have a rod through my tibia and a
Yeah.
pin in my ankle, and it's the ankle that actually hurts the most. And like I don't know what that's going to look like long term. Like if I'm going to have like scar tissue like
Sure.
issues, the Keeley issues. There's just all these like weird things now that I have to consider that I've never had to think about prior.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, I'll end by saying
what's okay.
I will at least get some hikes in this summer, and then like my gravel bike, like I'm gonna pull Anton Krupicka, and I'm just like gonna like diversify,
Yeah.
for the next year. Like endurance is endurance, so like I'm just gonna diversify like how I get that, and if it
Yeah.
means like more time on the bike, like it's more time on the bike, and maybe I just have to reframe like running right now just has to look different,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about next is like, and I want to be cognizant of time here. Is so if you had to do this all over again, obviously, like you said, you didn't know that you would ever be without legs, but we pour so much of our identity into this, like the routines, the constructs we set up, like it's all very like habitual, it's all very plotted, and while it seems kind of like carefree and fancy free sometimes, like take it away and like we're struggling to figure out what the fuck is next. Would you like for maybe anyone that hasn't experienced this runner, like what advice could you give to someone that like maybe entering running or maybe like find themselves as running is their sole identity, if this ever happens, like how do you cope? Like, what's some advice you could offer?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say, I mean, it's hard. Like there's no two ways about it. It will feel like the world kind of collapses. Um, Initially, it's what I would say is as that's happening, like it's a great time to reevaluate your foundation, and so like if the foundation is cracked, like start doing the little things, like and what I mean is like not physically, but like if there's like emotional stuff you got to deal with, like find ways to like process and make sure that they're outlets that would be as productive as if you were to go get that 10-mile run, like I still need my 10-mile run. It just has to look different now.
Right.
So like what does that mean? And like for me, it's like I'm doing more of that the long form writing, and I'm not even a good writer, and I don't even know if I like writing, but like it's now and I don't even like reading, so like I don't even know why I'm doing that, but like it's something that I'm like trying to do to like have a discipline that is more of a positive outlet versus like sulking in the fact that like I've got X amount of weeks until
Yeah.
the next milestone, because there is no milestone until 10 weeks, and so I'd say like emotionally figure out what you got to do and mentally figure out what you got to do to replicate the 10-mile run that is not running,
Yeah.
and then pick up a new hobby or an old hobby that you've neglected because of life constraints, like life is a beautiful thing, and our like friends and family are amazing to have around you, like so you've got a few hours given back to you because you're injured. So like how do you make those hours meaningful? That's I don't know if that makes sense, but I think that's just like where my head has been.
No, I think that's you nailed it on the head there. It's yeah, finding the other outlet and like kind of knowing in the back of your head that it could return, like it will return, running will return in a maybe in a different sort of, manifestation, like you were saying. But then it's like once you get back, how do you balance the old and the new with the new, and then just keep going. So I think, yeah, what you're painting a picture of is like very much like a life diversified where your identity doesn't become so wrapped up in just one thing and it becomes like almost like this, tapestry. And I think like as runners, like we were saying, we get so in our heads about the routine and about what this means. So um yeah, man, this is great. Do you have any final parting shots, any thank yous, anything else you want to share?
I mean, I just say like thank you to you for all the stuff that you're doing. Like it's super inspiring, and when I'm like feeling a little bit down and out, I see the shit you're posting and it just stokes me. And I'm sure a lot of people get stoked on seeing what you're doing. So thank you. Obviously, thanks to my wife who's been my primary caregiver. And like I literally can like not do shit right now. So like that's huge. And then also just like you're not gonna take the love of running away from me. Like just like the shout out is really just like to the community. Like keep pushing the boundaries, like because at some point or another we're all going to get injured. How long we're on the sideline is like is a question mark, but like it's gonna happen, and severity could fluctuate. But like if the running community continues to do what it's so good at, which is inspire and break barriers, like kudos,
Yeah.
it's that's why we love it, that's why we're a part of it, and that's why
Oh,
why we build the shit we build is because we are
yeah,
inspired by it.
exactly. Dude, Andy, thank you so much. I mean, I went into this kind of not knowing how this was going to go, like I said, and like I feel like I gotta take a breath now and like kind of analyze why I'm running. No, but this has been so awesome. I thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story with us and being vulnerable and open about everything that's going on. I wish you and we all wish you a speedy recovery and whatever the next phase looks like for your running, like that's what it's going to be. And I think that's what we can take away from this. And can't expect anything, but we can't be disappointed by what happens either. So
Yeah,
let it happen, right?
that's it. All right, one question from me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
uh yeah, one give me I should say like exploring new stuff, so like I've been listening to a lot of new music.
Yeah.
So what's one band that I gotta throw on my Spotify spin list this afternoon?
Ooh, oh, that's a great question. I know that you're already into Refused. I've been listening to a lot of Refused lately. I don't know what happened, but The Shape of Punk to Come has just been on repeat. I just went and saw Devotchka, a
Hmm.
band from Denver, that is just remarkable. They're like I don't even know how to describe them. They're like Cuban like indie rock, jazz with a tuba. I'm not sure, I'm entirely sure, but they're one of my favorite bands of all time. And they're just like good, kind of like, I don't know. They you know what? They did the soundtrack to Little Miss Sunshine. So
Oh,
familiar with
okay.
that movie, like all the
Yeah.
music, the score was done by them.
Oh,
So
sick.
that's what I would choose because it's kind of like chill music. It's really interesting. There's a lot of instrumentation, and while you're like lying there, kind of contemplating life, you can listen to all the nuances versus just maybe listening to like some punk music and just getting angrier. So it's good.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think you dig it.
All right, I'll check it out.
All right,
Well,
I'm glad. Yeah, no, I'm always down for musical recommendations. All right, dude. Well, you take care. And thank you again for your time.
yeah, thanks, Will.
All right, Andy, have a good one.
Later. Yeah.
Later.